Hey guys, I'm going to do another unboxing today. This time it's on a Korg PitchCrow-G tuner. It's for any stringed instrument like guitar and bass guitar. I guess you could do a banjo or maybe a ukulele or mandolin. Alright, let's get into it. So I did get this on Musician's Friend Deal of the Day because they usually run some pretty good deals if you can find something that you actually want. So I keep an eye on it. But here we go. So the deal was 2 of these for $25 at the time. So pretty good deal. These are surprisingly small. I wasn't sure how big they were going to be. Let me set one aside and let's open up the other one. So I got the red ones. And the reason I got them is because they seem pretty convenient for when you're working on your guitar. You have it up on the bench or something. It's kind of tricky to plug in a guitar jack and just wire it up. It's easier just to attach this thing on the headstock of your guitar and just start tuning that way. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of this. For practice and for live shows, I use the Boss chromatic tuners. Alright, so back to the unboxing. We got an instruction manual, which was read by nobody ever. And then the tuner. It's pretty tiny. Seems to be made out of a very light plastic. I don't want to say inexpensive, but it feels pretty light. Anyway, so let's see if we can turn it on. On the back it has a few different controls, a power, an M, I don't know what that means, a cal, not sure what that means, probably calibrate, an FCM, not sure what that means. So when I said the instruction manual was used by no one ever, I might have to get into it because I don't know what some of that stuff means. Alright, and wow. So the battery goes in at the top and it doesn't actually come with a battery. No battery. Which is surprising. I mean, usually most of these things do come with a battery. Alright, let's double check, make sure they didn't hide a battery somewhere. Ah, there is a battery. It's in a secret compartment inside there. You see that? Tricky, tricky, Korg. Alright, I just kind of tore this apart. Alright. To take a minute and get it hooked up to a guitar. I'm going to try it out with a guitar, a bass, and an acoustic guitar. See how well it does. Okay, so the first thing we'll hook it up to is the acoustic guitar. I did that first because it seems like it'll be the easiest to test with since it outputs the most sound without being hooked up to an output source such as an amplifier or something like that. Alright, so let's give it a try. This guitar should be decently in tune, but I start at the low E string when I tune. It's kind of hard to read this upside down, but moving on to D string. I wonder if, hopefully, sound doesn't bother it because you'd want to be able to take it to a show or something, an open mic, and tune up your guitar. The reason I bought it is because I assumed that the way it worked was the vibrations from the string would go up into the tuner, and it would, instead of using like a microphone or something like that, would use the vibration or resonance of the guitar neck to determine the frequency. Okay, last string. Okay. So my goal is to show you the sensitivity of this with an acoustic guitar, so you could see how well it works or how difficult it is to use as a tuner. Let's move on to an electric guitar. Alright, so I'm doing electric guitar because it's got less output. This thing should be just using the resonance of what it's getting from the neck to determine the frequency and display what the tuning should be. I think this is going so much easier because I'm more used to the 6-in-a-line headstocks like on a Fender than I am the 3-in-3 that acoustic guitar had. Okay, so for my last test I want to try a bass guitar because it has a lower frequency, and tuners sometimes have a difficult time detecting what frequency or actually picking up the frequency and outputting what string it's on. This tuner does have a bass setting, so I'll go ahead and change that quickly. That's interesting. I was in drop D from a song I was playing, and it didn't detect anything when I was at drop D, which makes me think that... Okay, I wanted to demonstrate all of the modes that this tuner has. So the first one is guitar. We kind of went over that. That's how you would get your standard guitar tuning settings. So as you can see, when it's hooked up to a guitar, you've got 6. That's referring to the 6th string, 6th E string. And so A is 5, D is 4, until you get all the way to the high E, which is 1. Okay. The next mode will be bass, and this isn't a bass, but we did hook up a bass to it, and it will have similar output: 4E, 3A, 2D, and 1G. And if you're playing a 5-string bass, I assume that it would show a B on there. And then if you're playing any other stringed instrument, or if you're playing a guitar with a non-standard tuning, you would want to go to the 3rd mode setting, which is nothing, and that will just allow you to tune to whatever you want. So if you want to tune to E flat, you can do so. And this is the more common tuning display that people are used to. And just a second ago we saw that it also has a chromatic, I think it's called chromatic display, but they call it fine tuning. And so that's what that looks like. There is one more feature in the top, or at least one more button. In the top left corner, there you see the hertz readout. There's a calibration button on the back that I kind of went over, and you can increase that depending on, some songs are played a little bit sharp or a little bit flat, and not a half step flat or a whole step flat, but like something like 444 hertz with standard tuning. So that's how you would get to that. And this tuner does have a nice feature where if you turn off your tuner and you turn it back on, and let's say all your songs are in 444 hertz, when it turns it back on, it'll keep that setting instead of starting you back off at 440. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about what I think about the Korg PitchCrow tuner. I think it's a good lightweight portable tuner. You can fit it in your gig bag, you can fit it in your hard case, or even in a toolbox, which is where mine will probably go. Um, I like that it uses resonance instead of the pickups. You don't have to deal with cables, things like that. So that's going to make it really handy for doing setups, like I said. It also makes it good for tuning in loud situations, such as band practice or a loud club or something like that. I know it doesn't reflect this in the video, but once I started using it, it felt a lot more natural using it, and it worked a lot better for me than it did in the demo. It was probably because I was trying to film it and show the display on the video, but once I hooked it onto one of my guitars and used it in a more natural setting, I found it a lot easier to use and really started to like it. The bad parts of it are, let's see, I think it's still a little bit fragile. I could see, like, if you stepped on it, this thing isn't living. It uses a watch battery for power. I can see this thing dying, and where am I going to get a watch battery to power it back up? I'm going to have to go to the store because I don't have those in my collection of batteries. Alright, so now that I've done my review, let's see what other people say about this tuner. So this is where I bought it, Musician's Friend. Looks like we have 3.5 stars, which isn't that great, but it's okay. Let's see what gives it 3.5 stars. We'll read a couple of reviews. 4 stars, nice tuner, cool color. The version of the PitchCrow does turn off on its own to save battery. Other reviews of older versions claim they do not. Great little tuner, easy to see, awesome colors, and tons of swivel. Wish it had a mic. I'd agree with all those things. Other than I don't wish it had a mic. There's no reason for it to have a mic. See what this guy says. 1 star, not for me. This is a product you might find free as a prize in a cereal box. It's cheaply made and hard to use. The control buttons for on-off are so small I had to remove the tuner from the guitar to turn it on and off. I would say it feels a little bit cheap, but I want to know where this guy is getting his cereal because it sounds like they've got pretty neat prizes. Yeah, so I would also agree that the control buttons are small and hard to use, and I could see how you would have to remove it from the guitar to turn it on and off. I think Korg needs to work on that. Let's see what people on Amazon are saying. So we got 3 stars on 12 customer reviews. This is a black one. I picked it because it had the most reviews. And this actually comes in a whole bunch of colors, pinks and whites and yellows and orange and whatever you want. See all 12 reviews. This tuner is great. You must get one. It is more precise than my Korg rack mount tuner, which is an older STR 2000. Rugged, small, easier to use, reacts much faster, and even picks up my low G string, which vibrates so slowly you can see it. Can't think of a single negative thing to say about it. Alright, and let's look at this 1 star review. Beautiful, functional, unusable. It looks great. The lights, colors look so elegant. I love the size. It tunes just fine. There is one enormous problem with it, though. It has the worst battery life I've encountered. Okay, and this is in 2018, so I would assume he's reviewing the latest model that has its own shut off. It may very well be I got a defective one, but wow. So the battery was half dead when I received it, but I didn't think anything, so I got another one. Then that one only lasted a couple days, and I thought it was weird, but I thought that maybe I left it on and it drained. So I bought a 2-pack of Energizer lithium super batteries. This thing went through both of them in about a week, and it's not like I leave it on while I'm playing, I just turn it on and off. Or turn it on to tune and turn it off. It's on maybe 5 minutes. Like I said, I may have received a defective one. Everything else on the tuner is awesome, but the battery life is the one thing. It's a real deal breaker for me. Hopefully I don't have that problem. I haven't used it long enough to know whether I have that same issue. Alright, let's see what Hasnep says. Not a chromatic tuner. Not a chromatic tuner. Can't tune to sharp or flat, but does not pick up the lower E string when tuning to drop D, and cannot find C in any shape form unless using it in bass mode. But then it won't find the higher strings, useless for open tunings. This guy is in guitar mode, and he needs to be on the third mode, which allows you to tune whatever you want. He doesn't know how to use this thing. A tuner is a tuner. Nice little tuner, will bend in shape to any angle you need. I agree with that. Tested against my little Epiphone freebie that came in a guitar amp combo. Not a bit of difference in tuning accuracy. One for free, the other a little expensive with a name brand on it. Good, but no better than the rest. I don't think a tuner is a tuner. Let's check out this guy. Mine was a dud. It could not find open. Mine was a dud. It could not find open B at all. How to use a different tuner. This guy's probably in guitar or bass tuning mode. Same thing. Huh. So for me, Korg needs to work on a few things. They probably need to allow for B string in standard guitar and bass tuning, because a lot of guitarists and bass players are using 5 and 7 string guitars these days. I think they need to work on the buttons on the back. They don't feel very good, and they could use some work, and maybe work on the packaging of the plastic housing itself. Other than that, I think it's a good tuner. I'm liking it. I'm happy with it. Alright, so that concludes my video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe below. See you next time.